Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If this is your first time joining, my name is Akil Stokes. I'm a Forex trader, a trading coach, and one of the co-founders of Tier1Trading.com. Now, typically in these YouTube videos, I'm teaching you some type of trading related lesson, whether it's trading psychology, whether it's technical analysis, or in most cases, some type of combination of both, since they do go hand in hand. But today I want to do something a little bit different, and I want to touch on the broader subject of wealth creation and just financial responsibility. And it is trading related because, well, I'll tell you this, the misconception in trading is that trading is this get rich quick scheme, right? It's gambling. It's something that you can start off with a little bit of money and grow to a massive amount of money very quickly. Now, most of the traders that have those, or I don't even want to call them traders, most of the people that have that attitude typically lose their money very quickly and go on to that next get rich quick scheme. For you guys that do go on to really adapt the right mindset, you soon learn that yes, you can be successful in trading. Yes, you can really be a trading superstar, but really only about 1% of successful traders are really that really super duper trader that can take that small account and turn it into a massive amount of account in a short period of time. For the rest of us that become consistently profitable, yes, we're successful, but it's more of a slow grind. It's consistent profitability over time. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the idea of trading in the first place is, again, it's not a get rich quick scheme, but it's a wealth accelerator. It's something that allows you to take the income that you already have, right? Take the wealth that you're already creating, hopefully, create some more out of it through the markets, but really accelerate the growth. So think about building your money and compounding your money faster than really any other type of investment or tool out there. And of course, you can, as a trader, there's multiple paths you can go. You can just use it as a wealth accelerator. You can also grow that skill into a business, which in its own right can accelerate your wealth as well, giving you different income streams and so forth and so on. But the point is, you can't do any of that unless you have really a grounded belief and grounded knowledge of money, right? Financial responsibility, financial education. So what I want to share with you in today's video is a conversation that I had in my live trading room, right? Me and my business partner, Jason Greystone, we run live trading rooms Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays each week, where the goal is to go in there and show our analysis in the market, look for trading opportunities, and really give our traders a chance to practically apply what they're learning in the course material to the live markets, right? Think about it like hitting the gym, right? You're getting your daily workout in, you're getting a little bit better each day, and you have an extra pair of eyes on the market as well, really giving you a look at maybe some opportunities that you overlooked. But when times are slow, or just when we feel like it, we also tend to get off on rants, and most of those rants deal with financial responsibility, self-development, entrepreneurship, right? Developing a business mind, whatever subject is on tap for the day. And in this particular session, we had a nice little talk about wealth creation, financial responsibility, and really how to avoid sinking into the trap that most people sink into, and that's kind of living a mediocre life, right? You do enough not to be poor, but you really can't get to the level where you really start to develop wealth. So check out this video. Also, at the very end of this video and in the description box below, I'm going to share with you an even better video by Jason Greystone, where it's an awesome 5-minute clip where he goes into great details, sharing really his system for wealth creation. Again, it's a must watch. So I'll put the link for that video in the description box below. I'll also post it at the end of this video. As always, before we get started, do me a favor. Like this video if you're brand new, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you have a question about anything we talk about in this video, or if you're financially responsible yourself and you just want to lend some advice to maybe someone out there that needs help, feel free to do that as well. I appreciate it in advance, and I hope you guys enjoy. For you guys that are newer, if you follow the podcast, I'm always big on just financial responsibility. And I love doing these things called Latte Experiments, where you kind of go through and see what you're wasting money on, see where you can kind of tighten things up. And it's when you look at it from a perspective, it's not a tightening up perspective as far as like necessarily needing to save money, but just continuing to have good habits. Because what happens is the more money you make, or the better your financial situation becomes, the more looser people tend to become with their rules. And what that does is it eventually sends them backwards, right? So if you can imagine like someone that is very financially stable, right? And they're accelerating their wealth, right? They do this, right? They're saving money and whatnot. And then you get to a point where, let's say you're let's put it like this. We're gonna do a little quick lesson right here. So let's say this level down here is you are broke. And this level right here is you are, I don't like using the word rich, but you are very wealthy. But you're going to see why it ends up being rich, right? So wealthy, down up there, poor down here. Now, we know that most people are poor because of, well, no, I shouldn't say that most people. A lot of people are poor just because they don't make good, a lot of people stay poor because they don't make good financial decisions. I don't want to say most people are poor because there are so many situations out there and some of them are out of people's control. I mean, houses burned down and people getting scammed and like you can be poor from outside factors, right? But a lot of people stay poor that shouldn't be poor because they make bad financial decisions or they just make undereducated financial decisions. Would you guys agree with that? So the first thing you want to do, right, if you're in this situation where you're like, man, like I'm in a bad situation, right, money comes in and then it goes right out. I got credit card debt. I got all this stuff, on me. I'm having trouble paying the bills. I'm ducking the phone calls from the electric guy, right? One of the best ways to get out of that situation is to become what? We already talked about working more. That's fine, right? But working more means nothing if the money goes in and goes right out. Becoming aware, becoming more financially responsible. Would you guys agree? Right? Because again, people will be like, oh, I'm poor, I'm going to work more. But poor is usually because of your habits, right? So you work more and then you spend the same and you end up going nowhere, right? You just spend more on dumb stuff, right? So it's changing and transforming your knowledge if you're unknowledgeable, and changing your habits. So you see a lot of people down at this level, they start taking their financial, to get out of this hole, you start making some serious changes in your financial habits. And what's the easiest way to make a serious change, right? What's the easiest way to, I don't want to say make more money, but hold on to more money, right? Spend less. So you cut your expenses, right? So it's a cool experiment called the Latte Factor, something that I learned about in a book. I believe it was called The Automatic Millionaire. Great book if you haven't read it. I think the main part of that book was talking about how knowing that you're not responsible with money, set your accounts up so the money is gone before you even have a chance to touch it, right? Because a lot of us talk a big game where Zach's like, yeah, I'm going to save, 50% of this. I'm going to put 10% here in investments and 20% over there, right? And then what happens when Zach gets his check? Does he actually do it? Maybe. A lot of people probably not. So the big emphasis of the book was like, set up your bank account so it's automatically withdrawn, right? You know how taxes are taken out of your, for you guys that pay taxes automatically, you know how taxes are taken out of your check, right? The government gets it before you even see it. So you tend not to care about it, right? You're like, whatever, it was already gone. You can do the same thing with your finances, where if Zach wants to remove 50% for savings, right? He can set it up where 50% of his check is taken out and put into this other account before he even gets the actual check. And therefore that temptation to spend what he shouldn't be spending is no longer there. But one of the things that was in there was the Latte Experiment of kind of finding out where you can cut expenses. So it was one of those things where you basically track your spending habits for a week, for a month, whatever you want to do, and you see where you can cut costs, right? No different than like kind of auditing your business and seeing like, what are we wasting money on, right? And then typically you find some stuff that's interesting. So for me, the last time I did it, I found that I was spending $200 a month on Baby Bell cheeses, dark chocolate Milky Ways, and Gatorades, right? I didn't realize it because it was a little habit where it was like $5 each day, but $5 each day over a month's worth of time, right? It ends up to be about $200 a month. You multiply that over a full year, how much money is that? Math whizzes, $200 a month, 12 months, right? Almost $2,500 on that stuff, right? So when you're asking yourself, well, what can I save on, right? Where can even if I did half of that, where can the extra $1,200 go to or come from? Boom, there's your answer. And then there's other stuff like people that buy like Starbucks coffee, right? Instead of just maybe buying a cheaper version of coffee. What's a Starbucks coffee cost? $3? I don't drink Starbucks, but right, $4 plus, says Zach, right? Let's say you're buying 2 a day, right? $8 a day on coffee. 5 times a week, $40 a week on coffee, right? $160 a month, right? What if you buy a coffee machine and you make your own coffee from home? Stuff like that. So cutting out those expenses, right? So and it's other stuff as well, but that's kind of the main thing. But you become more financially responsible, and then you start dragging yourself out of that poor zone, right? Now, you get to kind of this level right here, where in the poor zone, you're kind of not fulfilling those basic needs, right? And that's kind of the main agenda. And the main agenda for us as human beings is self-preservation, right? So once you can get over that hump of, hey, like all of my basic needs are taken care of. Like I'm not worried about missing a car payment. I'm not worried about putting food on the plate. Once you get over those basic needs, what do you think tends to happen? And this is kind of the same level where we say money stops bringing the same amount of happiness, right? From this red zone to the middle, you're really excited, right? You're really excited because like you're making more money by spending less, or maybe you're working another job and you're getting more money and your life is changing. Your life is coming from this place where it's like you're struggling and you're praying and whatnot to like now things are coming more comfortable. Like rent is paid on time, right? Food is on, you can buy good food, right? You become more comfortable. And as you get higher, right, money stops meaning as much, right? Because once you get above that basic need level, right, is there any big difference? Again, right? Look at someone like me, for example, $200 a month on Baby Bell cheeses, dark chocolate Milky Ways, and Gatorades. I should get a sponsorship from them. But did I care about it? Did it bother me? Can I afford to buy that stuff? No, I don't care. It doesn't affect my life, right? However, if I was down in this poor zone, it affects my life a lot more because now that $200, that's like, that's a car payment. Baby Bell cheese or car payment. It's one or the other. Now it's like, I don't worry about a car payment. I don't worry about this, worry about mortgage, worry about that stuff. It's, it's good. I can do it, right? So what happens is as you get past that zone of comfort and fulfilling those basic needs, right? People tend to become a little bit looser with their expenses, right? Because that pain isn't there anymore. And what happens is as they become looser and as you make more money and you become looser with your expenses, do you think those expenses that you become looser with, do you think they get bigger or smaller? They get bigger. Now all of a sudden it's not like, hey, $2 for this. Now it's like, $50 for that, $100 for that, $1,000 for that, right? And then what happens with this curve is, right, it starts going backwards, right? You start kind of getting here, and then all of a sudden your expenses are starting to get more. So your wealth acceleration slows down. And then if you slip too much back into the bad habits, you actually start to go backwards, and you find yourself in this really strange position where like you're making more money, but now you're back to kind of paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of people stay in this kind of deal for their entire lives, where they stay in this habit of like, they're above here, it's good, and they get back into bad habits and they go below this line and it's bad. And then what happens when you go below this line again? That pain and that urgency comes back and you start doing the right things again, right? And then you're up around here, and then the same thing happens, you're here, right? And you never really learn, do you? People that don't want to learn, you never really learn. You keep going back and forth, and you live this life of like mediocrity, right? You just kind of stay in this level, right? When you're above it, you slip back below it. When you're below it, a little bit of pain, you slip back above it, right? The key is when you're above this level, you want to stay above this level, right? You don't, just because you can slip back and just because you can buy something doesn't mean you have to buy something. And the most successful people in the world, again, they don't really care about the money. It's more about the game. It's the game, right? I watched New England Patriots play last night. Beat the New York Jets 33-0, right? They haven't lost a game this season, right? Halfway through that game, right? When they knew that they won in the first quarter, by the way. But halfway through that game, they could have easily kind of just got lackadaisical. But no, they make it a game. Oh, let's see if we can shut out the team, right? For you guys that are soccer fans, right? What's a defense's main goal? What's the biggest accomplishment a defense and a keeper can have? A clean sheet, right? So even if your team is up 4-0, right? They want that clean sheet. Now, does that clean sheet matter as far as the outcome of the game? If it's 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, right? Unless you're going on aggregate, it doesn't really matter, right? But the fact is, this is the game. The game is no goals, right? To try to get a little bit better. And that's the same thought process that the super successful people have. No matter how much money I have, it's the game. And that's why you see a lot of people, even people like Mark Zuckerberg, right? Very frugal. Bill Gates, very frugal with their money. You don't see all this fancy stuff. Man, they treat themselves every once in a while, as you should. I believe in treating yourself like, vacations and stuff like that, but they're not recklessly spending money. They're playing the game, and that allows them to keep pushing up through this level of wealth, and then this level gets higher and higher and higher. And each year, or every day, I guess, the goal was to kind of push this higher and higher and higher. So that was one of the reasons I went back and cut some of the expenses, and TradingView was one of them. I just wasn't using it. I wasn't using it, so I went back to I had whatever the Super Pro, whatever the most expensive membership you can have there is. I had, and I cut it for a while after the Foundation 2 course because I just wasn't using it. But one of the things that comes with that is the bar tick replay, which I actually found very, very valuable. I used it a lot in the Foundation 2 course. I found it very valuable for teaching. I don't know if you guys would agree. I got a lot of comments on that where it's like when we were going through stuff in that course where you guys kind of like the bar tick replay instead of kind of like, or the market replay on here, I guess it's called, instead of just scrolling back through. So it helped from a teaching perspective. I also really enjoyed using it from a trade review perspective where pairs that I don't trade, like I don't trade the Aussie yen, so I'm not necessarily watching it on an hourly basis. I can actually go back and kind of pretend like I'm doing it. So that was a big draw for me. There is, from a business perspective, there was the promotional value of it, the ability to put links. I don't really post on TradingView anymore. I did 2 posts last week. So I say I'm going to post a little bit more, but I don't know if I actually will. But the ability to share links, right, from a business perspective. But also, they offered me a pretty significant discount, and it just made sense value-wise. It was basically getting that deal at the cost of like 2 deals underneath it. I think that deal is usually $60 a month for the Super Pro, whatever it's like. And maybe because I'm a valued customer, it was a very good deal. So I went back to it, guys. I caved in, but the price met the value. And that's how I judge things. The price met the value, where before it didn't. But yeah, how many of you guys feel like you're stuck in this trap right here? Cody says, Rich Dad, Poor Dad taught me some really good lessons. Yeah. Zach worked at Bank of America. After the mortgage deal, we'd work with them to review finances. We asked them to give us a list of their monthly expenses, and it was eye-opening for both them and me. Most had never done it and had no idea, but they were finally forced to do it. Wow. Probably should be saying their name. Doesn't matter. Bank of America. And they didn't do their monthly finances and expenses. Now, it doesn't surprise me while that stuff happened, but that's the mortgagers. I'm sorry, the mortgagers, yeah. Sorry about that, yeah. Good. Right, so here's how it should work, right? If you have a set budget, right, for a business, right? Your budget should work kind of like a debit card. Would you guys agree? Where if I'm saying, Greg, here's your budget for the year. You have $50,000 to spend this year on blah, 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 on marketing, right? As Greg spends that money on marketing, it comes out. And when Greg gets to $0 and he wants to make another transaction, it says, no, Greg, you cannot because you used your budget, right? That is common sense, is it not? It's common sense, but you'll see many places where they act on this like we'll make it up later type of deal. And I guess that's the whole credit card world that we're in, right? Where it's like, hey, Greg, you have this budget of $50,000. But Greg, if Greg wanted to, he can spend $75,000 and there's no shut off. So now you're $25,000 in debt and they'll be like, oh no, we'll just take it away from next year's budget, Greg. And then Greg goes, and like, there's no stop. You see that a lot and it surprises me. And I don't know if it's above my pay grade on why, if it's just bad accounting or if there's a reason for that. But you'll see that a lot with fundraising as well too. And this is kind of the credit card system as well, where people will have a budget and the budget will be based. Greg's $50,000, he'll have a $50,000 budget, but there's actually only $25,000 in the account for next year. And they're working under the impression that we're going to raise another $25,000, right? You're kind of betting on money you don't have. I don't think that's a smart decision. And that's a problem that a lot of businesses get into. And it's very similar. It's no different than credit cards, right? Because many of you guys that spend on credit cards, right? Do you actually have that money? And not you guys listening, but in general. Think about your financially unresponsible people. Probably not. They probably don't have that money. They're spending on, oh, I'm gonna buy this with my credit card, and then when my check comes in 2 weeks, I'm gonna pay it off. Right? They're banking on that future money to pay for a current expense. That's how you get into trouble. Right? Especially if you're not financially responsible, because then you're probably going to forget about it and never actually pay that credit card off because you're paying something else. And then guess what happens? Before you know it, you're getting charged $400 a month on interest from a credit card. And now you're losing an extra $400 a month just because of money you spent that you didn't repay. And you get stuck in that trap, man. That's why people take credit for granted, man. People look at it as free money, and they're just getting you, man. Now again, I think debt is good. I'm real estate business. I'm a big fan of using other people's money. Massive fan of that. But you need to have it. You need to have a plan on how and when you're going to pay it back. Same thing like taking out a loan, right? Nothing wrong with taking out a loan. A lot of you guys talk about this. I would take out a loan to start a trading business. If you knew you were good, right? Gabrielle has done all of her work. Let's say she knows she's good. She knows she has a tried, true, tested plan. She just doesn't have the funds to trade it, right? If she knows her returns and she can find a loan, someone that's going to give her $100K, and the interest rate works with her returns, and she looks at it and plans out and says, yeah, I can pay this back and blah, 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 blah. That's not a bad transaction at all. It's a no-brainer. Now, again, she's got to know her numbers, though. She's got to know her return on investment. She's got to plan for worst-case scenario, stuff like that. But she got to know her numbers, right? That's how I got my first house. I used student loan interest. Or not interest. I used student loans. I took out what I took out. I forgot what it was now. It's been so long. I think the math. I took like $40,000 for like graduate loans. Didn't need to, but student loans back then was like a 1% interest rate, something dumb. I turned that into a house. Turned that into a duplex, right? Fully rented out unit 2. Had 3 of my roommates move in unit 1 with me. Paid 0 in rent, made profit each month on top of the mortgage. So yeah, we gotta make smart decisions. But yeah, this is the trap, man. And this is why I'm always very cautious, because I get caught in this too, guys. I like to think of myself as being financially responsible, but sometimes I get caught in this too. And I've definitely been here when I first went from not having any money to getting over that level of comfort. I got sucked into this trap. And again, I don't spend, I don't buy Lambos and all that fun stuff. But I would buy stuff like subscriptions to like mastermind groups that cost thousands of dollars a year. I was a part of like 3 mastermind groups, like $5,000 a year on mastermind groups. I would never actually involve myself with any of them, but I was just in it because, I was looking for that community sense. This is before I didn't have a tier 1 trading, right? So I was looking for that community, like mastermind groups, microphones, right? Computer monitors, cameras, like stuff that I would, my flaw was that I would look at everything. I would justify it by saying I needed it for the business. I need to be in part of this mastermind group because it's going to help my business. I need to subscribe to this news feed because it's going to help my business. Keep in mind, I'm a technical trader. Who cares about news? But I need to subscribe to this news feed for my business, right? I need this camera because I'm making these YouTube videos. I need to look good for the camera, right? For my business. I need these monitors because, when I'm doing video editing and blah, 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 I need the crisp monitor for live room stuff, whatever. I need this microphone. I need to sound good. I got like 8 microphones, guys. Oh, this one doesn't sound as good. It's a little bassy. Let's get another one. Oh, I need a Rode microphone for, not Rode, R-O-D, although that's a good mic. I need one for the road. I'll just write it off on taxes, right? Thinking that, writing it off makes it better. No. I mean, it's a luxury that you have, but it doesn't, just because you can write something off doesn't mean you should spend on it. You're still spending money. So I fell into that trap, and I saw myself dip back below that line. And that's scary. That's scary. So there you go. I don't know how we got on that, but there's your financial lesson for the day. Your bill will be in the mail. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Again, leave me a comment below if you have any questions about what I talked about, or if you have any tools or tactics that you personally use to really help get yourself on the right track. I'm sure our other viewers here on YouTube would love to see that. Lastly, don't forget about that Jason Greystone video. It is a must watch. I'll put a link in the description box below. There should also be a pop-up somewhere here on the YouTube video that comes up as well. It's a 4.5-minute video, so it takes up really none of your time, but the knowledge that you get with it is going to last you a lifetime, I promise you. All right, until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care, gang.